Marlon Brando was a stone-cold pimp. 3 wives, at least 16 children, and an acting legacy that most people can't even fathom, let alone call their own. But Marlon Brando was also kind of a dick. Because of his aforementioned stone-cold pimp status, this dickery I speak of could apply to a lot of things. But today, because this is my video essay for my post-production class, the dickery that I am talking about is very specific. No, not that. Well, kind of that. For all his acting accolades, Marlon Brando was actually surprisingly ill-prepared for most of the things that he filmed. This picture is of one of his co-stars from The Godfather with cue cards taped to his chest because Marlon Brando refused to learn his lines. When someone asked him about why he needed his lines printed on cue cards, he allegedly replied, "Because I can read them that way," and that was that. Surprisingly, despite subjecting his co-stars to the indignity of having his lines plastered on their chests because he couldn't be bothered to memorize them, that's not the most annoying thing Marlon Brando did on set. In the book, Producing Great Sound for Digital Video, they interviewed a lot of actors and other performers and talked about how most of them really hate ADR, or additional dialogue recording, which is also referred to as dubbing. ADR is the process of replacing production dialogue with either dialogue from another take or re-recording it all together because of problems during the day, flubbed lines, etc., etc. Most actors hate ADR because it's really hard to recapture the emotional magic of a scene, sometimes months or years later, especially when your original scene partner might not even be available. You're just in a little booth saying your lines over and over again just because they need better audio. And for performers, that isn't always the best way to get good performances.
Hella faulty. Ugh! Hella faulty. Hella faulty. It's hella faulty.
Not Brando, though. Here's what the book had to say about Mr. Brando. Dick move, right? If your face didn't immediately do this after you read that quote, then you probably don't know much about sound editing, which is, frankly, the worst. There are plenty of good reasons to have to ADR or dub a scene in either a TV show or a film. Perhaps there was an issue with the microphones on the day that the scene was shot, or the best take of a scene includes a flubbed line, or maybe there was too much background noise in the original audio. In these cases and many more, ADR is a must to finish your product and make sure that it's the quality that you were hoping for. Take this scene from Brains, my web series where actor Marshall Taylor Thurman delivers a great performance with an unfortunately timed voice crack.
See you soon?
Yep. See ya.
Because his performance was great, but his audio wasn't, we performed an ADR session and ended up with...
See you soon?
Yep. See ya.
There. Fixed. But ADR isn't magic, and because the entire point of it is to hide the fact that you don't have good production sound, that can lead to some problems when you can't actually hide it. Take this other example of ADR in Brains, which has a link in the description of this video, which includes my stupid face. I lost my best subject in the murders. Yikes. Taking a moment to not only shamelessly self-promote, but also explain some things, Brains is a found footage web series, meaning that the actors or the characters in the show are aware of the camera. Because of this, sometimes conversations in the show have to play out without any editing. They have to be played out completely untouched by jump cuts or cutting away to a reaction or a different angle with probably a better performance. So on occasion, we have to pick takes that on the whole are good but have some problematic sections. The scene I just showed you is from one such scene, which was the climax of the season that we had to play out in a full 2 or 3 minute scene. It was a really complicated scene and we actually had to do it like 18 times, and because we had limited time in the location and because we just didn't have the money to shoot a second day, we basically had to pick the best take that we had of the most important part of that scene, which was the end. So the take that you just saw with the unfortunate flub on my part was actually the best take that we got because the end of that scene was perfect. The climax, the thing that we really needed, was there. So unfortunately, we were stuck with that and we tried to ADR. I lost my best suspect in the murders. Yikes again. Unfortunately, that was the scene we had to go with because, like I said, the end of that scene was great, and that was the best overall version we had. And because ADR isn't magic and doesn't fix everything, we ended up having to upload the episode with that little weird attempt at sound editing still in it. So imagine my frustration when I learned that celebrated actor Marlon Brando specifically messed up his lines on the day so that he could do ADR later. I know he died in like 2004, but still, what a dick. How frustrating must that have been for the poor sound editors, let alone the other actors in his scenes? Sound editing is hard enough even with perfect diction and perfect production sound, let alone with new dialogue and old mouth movements. ADR is a necessary evil in filmmaking, and sometimes it can really save your ass, but it should be treated as a last resort for actors and editors alike.